Alright, hello, welcome to Shot Serpents. Today I just wanted to do a little bit of an introduction on Trace here. I like to consider her kind of the matriarch of the snake collection over here at Shot Serpents. I have had one other snake a little bit longer than Trace here, but I've had Trace about 10 years. So she has grown to become a pretty special snake over here, and is quite the animal ambassador. Such a sweet girl. Easily the most personable animal I have ever worked with. You can see she doesn't care much for my talking. Excuse me. However, she's just an unbelievable animal. She's really the animal that got me into boa constrictors, and boas in general, just as a snake to keep. They're unbelievably personable, silly, goofy snakes, as you can see. This girl is, I think, a hybrid between an imperator and a constrictor. The reason being that big bulky head that she's got, it's super different from any of the other boa constrictors that I keep. Mainly boa imperators what I keep over here, and their heads are a lot more narrow than hers is. And you can even tell it's a little bit more obvious when she's in her cage with her roommate, who's a hypo boa imperator. And their heads just look, completely different. They almost look like different animals. But that pattern, you can tell they're both boas. So I do think she's a hybrid, at least maybe a couple generations hybrid. I know she's 3rd generation captive bred. The lady I got her from had her grandparents in the 80s and 90s, and then her parents in the 90s and 2000s, and then Trace here was produced in 2013. So she is, what does that make her this year? I think she's 13 this year. So she's a teenager. She's still got plenty of life left, and I cannot wait to keep growing her up and keep working with her. So just wanted to kind of show her a bit, and she is definitely a favorite over here, and she doesn't get too freaked out by the camera like the other boas do, at least the Argentine. But this girl's such a sweetheart. Well, thought I might as well go and grab the other girl. You can see she's got a much more narrow head than Trace does. This is the hypo boa imperator. This is Honey. Trace is currently trying to climb on top of these other cages. I'll just back up a little bit, give her something else to climb on. This is Honey. I really love the look of hypos. If the sun was up right now, if it wasn't nighttime, I'd take her outside and we could see the iridescence. Hopefully you can even tell right there. Trace has just a bigger, bulkier head. Trace is right above me. Honey is right in front. These are big girls. Just gonna throw her over the shoulder here. A little shoulder toss. Hey, look at that, it's perfect. She came right back around. These girls have been living comfortably together for, I want to say 6 years now. It might be 7. It's been a while. But I have found absolutely zero issues keeping them together in the same enclosure. Excuse me. But obviously the enclosure is big enough for both of them. The enclosure is about 5 foot by 5 foot by 2 foot. I do have a larger enclosure in the works for them. I just haven't started building it yet. Their new enclosure will be 7 foot by 5 foot by 30 inches deep. Trace, you're blocking my face. Hey. But they live super comfortably together. They've got a water basin that's surprisingly large enough to fit both of them in here, or in the water. But usually it's Honey that'll soak, and Trace doesn't need a soak, or she doesn't prefer to. But their new enclosure will have 2 water bowls, so if they want to soak separately, they can. I suppose that's pretty much it. I do feed them separately, so they both have like feeding tubs, but that's never been an issue. In fact, I feel like it's been a lot easier to pull them out of the cage because they never see food inside of their own enclosure. They only get food outside of their enclosure in their feeding tubs. So if I just pull them out and hang out with them, they're super, super nice. Sometimes Honey right here will give me some attitude, like she'll hiss. But once I get her out of the cage, nothing, no big deal. I like to think that most boas are all bark and no bite. They might hiss and they might strike, but they don't want to tag you. That's not their goal. Their goal is to scare you away. And if you prove that you're bigger and are just going to kind of manhandle them a little bit, get them out of where they're comfortable, they'll relax once they kind of settle down. And at least once they get some size on them like this, you can see these girls are just completely calm in my hands and aren't trying to get away. And over time, that's what really helps. I've had both of these girls for over 5 years, and with regular handling, they've become puppy dog tame. So, as always, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.